It is your Classic Metal Show right here on theclassicmetalshow.com. That is brand new stuff from Jack Russell's Great White. The name of the album is He Saw It Comin'. Name of that tune was Sign of the Times. And as it would be, it is a sign of the times because we've got the one and only Jack Russell on the phone with us. Jack, how are you, man?
I'm great. How are you, my brother?
Excellent, dude. Jack, got to tell you, man, it's been a long journey, man, getting to this point. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, you're not kidding. You're not kidding, man. It's long and bumpy, you know. But everything is going the way I want it now. You know, I've got my sobriety. You know, my health is good. You know, for the shape I'm in, and you know, things are going well. I'm excited about the new record. Very proud of it. My voice is just as it's always been. Thank God. You know, thank God, and you know, I'm having a good time.
Sure. Now, Jack, you know, as you mentioned some of the stuff. You know, obviously your health has been a huge issue, and you know, as well as the issues with the other guys, we'll just say, and you know, to where you really had to, in a way, you kind of had to start over. I mean, certainly you didn't start completely over where nobody knew what or who you were, but I mean, you really built from the ground up. Are you surprised that this day even got here, considering, you know, how many stones you had to step over to get to here?
You know what? Honestly, no. Because I've always believed in myself, and I've always believed that I could accomplish anything I put my mind to. You know, it was just my addiction has always been addictions. Have always been my tiger in the grass, you know. That's what's always tripped me up. You know what I mean? I don't know why. It's like I either have a fear of success or a fear of failure or, you know what I mean, whatever, if you want to diagnose me like that, you know. But I've always known that, you know, I've still got a lot to do,
Sure.
You know, musically and, you know, as a human, you know. And so, no, it didn't surprise me. I mean, when this band started coming together, I just I was waiting around because I knew it wasn't the right band, you know what I mean? But I needed to get a band to go out and play. And as things, you know, started to evolve, I started, you know, having to get rid of people because of one reason or another. And when we got our bass player, Dan McNay, that was the final piece of the puzzle. I went, okay, now it's time to record a record.
Sure.
So, you know, we got to deal with Frontiers, and we started working on the record, and tomorrow comes out. So, you know, another dream realized, you know, or manifested.
Sure. Know? Definitely. Well, since we're talking about the band, tell us a little bit about the rest of the guys that are in the band, and you know, how long you've been working with them and what they bring to your vision of what Jack Russell's Great White should be.
Okay, well, let's start off with my guitarist, Robbie Lochner. He was with me since the beginning, and he's the only one that, you know, I kept around because he's become like my right-hand man, and he's an amazing guitar player. He's, you know, theory, you know, he knows all about theory, and yet he's also, let me say, streetwise, you know what I mean, musically. And we're very akin to what we like and dislike, you know. And, you know, he'll take one of my ideas musically and he'll take it and transform it into something really, really amazing, you know, like very orchestral, you know, sometimes. You know, like this song, She Moves Me, for example, you know, I just came up with and I told Michael, look, just make it, I'm thinking like, Give Me Shelter, really sleazy Stones song, you know what I mean? Just think of like, you know, some sleazy bar or club, you know what I mean? It was all full of smoke and, you know, just packed, and you're just up there just sweating, and, you know, and he came up with the rest of the song, and I was like, that's just perfect. Sure. You know, I mean, the guy's amazing. He's an amazing, great guitar player. He can shred with the best of them, but he knows when not to play.
Okay. You
know, and that's a hard thing. It seems for a lot of guitar players when they can. It's like when people can sing high. It seems like they sing high all the time.
Right.
It's like you don't got to do David Lee Roth screams every second. You know what I mean? Right. It doesn't mean anything when you do that. You know, do it every once in a while, or actually mean something. You know.
Sure.
So I mean, he's just great. He's like I said, he's my co-producer and my best friend, and we're in this together, and we're going to take it as far as we can take it, which I don't have any limits to what I think, we can do. So we're just going to keep going, pushing hard, and it's going to end up where I want it to end up, and that's my belief system. You can do anything you want as long as you put it out to the universe and believe in it. So now we go on to my drummer, Dickie Fleazar. He was a friend of Robbie's, and originally we had one of my old drummers from the band that played with us for a while, and had to get rid of him. And Dickie stepped in, and he's played with Bruce Dickinson, and the guy is just amazing. Another guy that knows when not to play. He knows when to sit and chop wood.
Right. Sure.
Great meter. Just pounds, he's a wonderful guy. He's a really great family man, he's just an incredible drummer, incredible person. So, and now Tony Montana, of course, people that know Great White will know Tony Montana he used to play bass for us, during Great White's heyday.
Sure.
And, after I fired my bass player, me and Tony have been talking anyway about kind of him coming back, and he's like, I don't know if I want to do that again, and
right.
And after I fired my bass player, he heard about it really fast, and he calls up and goes, Jack, you still want me to play? I go, yeah, absolutely.
Right.
He goes, because I've been sitting there thinking, why should somebody else be out there playing my riffs and getting paid for it while I'm sitting at home?
Right.
I go, well, there's no reason. So he goes, I'm in. So, that was great. I go, just learn how to play the harmonica so you can do rock. And he goes, okay, no problem. So, he's just an amazing guitarist, an amazing musician. He was always my favorite guy in Great White when he was with the band. Just a sweetheart, and he, again, he's an incredible musician, Now, the last piece of the puzzle, Dan McNay on bass. And here's a guy who played with Ronnie Montrose. I'm sorry, my mouth's not working. For a while, and was the missing piece of the puzzle, because I was waiting for the right band, just the right band until I started recording. And when we got him in the band, they go, "That's it, we're ready to go." So, he holds it down, man, and he's a great bass player. He comes up with great. You can listen to the riffs on Sign of the Times. I mean, they're just amazing.
Sure.
And the guy's great live. He looks great. He plays great, and he's one of the sweetest guys I've ever met. So, I got a band full of great players. They're all veterans, and they're all really nice, and we get along great, and everybody's always in good spirits, and we have fun on stage. It's not just going through the motions, waiting for a paycheck. Everybody's hungry, and they're happy, and glad to be where they're at. And, that, after playing with somebody for 30 some years, when I was with the other band, I wasn't necessarily feeling that, because all these pent up, all the water under the bridge, all the things, you start looking and you go, God, I hate the way he smacks his lips. Everything is
right.
The way he combs his hair, the way, coughs, or the way he walks, then it's just everything starts to bug you. And I'm sure they felt the same way about me, even worse,
Sure.
Because, I take full responsibility for, me not being in the band, and it took me a while to do that, to own it. It was easier to blame them, And, I said, Jack, I would have fired myself if, I would have fired any of those guys if they were like that, except Kendall,
right.
But, I'm happier, they're happier, so it all worked out,
Sure.
And I'm making music that to me, it's like elevated Great White. It still have the elements of Great White, because it always will, because I was one of the primary writers, and the voice, let's just say it's the voice. The voice is the voice, and it's the one element that you can't change it in a band without completely changing the sound of the band.
Sure.
Unless you get somebody like Todd from Queensryche.
Right. Right.
But so that's where it's at.
I hear you. And it's interesting with all these different, new guys in the band. The name may say Jack Russell's Great White and have Great White in the name of the band, but it doesn't feel, at least to me, outsider looking in, it does not feel like the old band, which it's not the old band. I mean, it has
No.
elements, because obviously with you singing, your solo album sounded like Great White, to be honest, just because
Right.
it's you.
Sure.
But there's a lot of cool elements to this, a lot of more modern elements than I think you've ever tried before. And
Well,
that and just more of a different. I don't know. Great White has the old Great White, the old version, the 20 years ago band had a certain sound, where all the songs had that same sort of a beat and sort of a timing and everything. To me, it seems like you really stretched out into a lot of different directions on He Saw It Coming, and sounds to me like you kind of agree.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we weren't worried about, what the public was going to think, or, of course you want them to like it, but, we were writing for ourselves. We were writing, I want to hear something that I like, you know what I mean? And if I love the album and nobody else does, at least I'll go broke with some integrity.
Right.
Something I can listen to, we decided that we wanted to, production-wise, we wanted a retro modern sound. The songs are the songs, I mean, they just came from ideas I had or Robbie had, or Tony had, whatever the case may be. And we just went with them if we liked them.
Sure.
It wasn't like, oh, that doesn't sound like, it's like, yeah, I did a little rap and She Moves Me, and that's something I've never done. I hate rap.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not my cup of tea. I mean, but I don't berate people for liking it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's all music. It's all valid. I just don't happen to like it.
Right.
But as I was scatting down the vocal track for to give the band a guide, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I just started singing that part. It just came flying out of my mouth like most things,
Right.
without thinking. And I went, that really sounds good, So I just, I'm keeping it. And everybody's like, really? And then they go, it is really cool. I like that part. So I wrote the lyrics, and bam, the next thing you know, had what I think is a really cool song, and it's one of my favorites. We're getting ready to shoot a video for it with Ava Fabian, who's a play-by-play mate, from 1986, and she still looks amazing.
Nice.
But she's playing across from, she's playing the other half of, she's playing with me, in the role.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to have some 21-year-old chick, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like Jack the pedophile, So that could be his daughter. Well, it is.
Right. I hear you, man.
Well, I'm looking forward to doing that. We're going to try to do videos for every single song on the record. I'm
Awesome.
calling in favors from every friend I know with a camera.
Right.
It's like,
sure.
hey.
That'll be cool, man. Well, Jack, one of the things that has always been sort of your mantra, or at least not always, but on most albums, is that you tend to bare your soul a little bit more than most. I know, artists always say, you can make up your own meaning to it, but for years I've been reading interviews with you, or doing interviews with you, where you've said that there's a lot of personal stuff in so many of the songs. Now I'm just going to tell you, I've written 2 books that are about me, okay? And I put them out there, and they weren't easy. One was about divorce, one was about an industrial accident that I went through. So it was they were very bare your soulish, to where
Sure.
I have a complete different understanding now. And honestly, for the life of me, I cannot figure out, and this is what I wanted to ask you, where you get the balls to, or the lack of fear for 40 years to put your life out there and let people judge it. Because that is, as someone that's done it twice, that is an unbelievably difficult thing to do.
Well, I've always felt that we all go through the same things. I mean, not all of us. Not all of us are dope fiends and drug addicts and alcoholics, you know what I mean?
Sure.
But most people can relate to the things I'm saying, and that's what I want. I mean, everybody's had their heart broken, you know what I mean, unless you're really young,
right?
And you will someday, the world is not, a perfect place, whether you're rich, poor, or whatever, it doesn't matter. We still go through the same thing, And I've learned that, health is the best, is the most important thing in your life.
Sure.
Because like they say, if you don't have your health, you've got nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been to where I couldn't even walk. I had to learn how to walk again. I had to learn how to eat again to feed myself. Because I came out of the hospital after 3.5 months laying in a bed after, my surgery for when my colon burst.
Right.
Because the wound dehisced, and they had to put like these, it looks like shoestrings on my stomach tight to hold it together.
Wow.
So I was in the hospital 3.5 months.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up coming out, I weighed 137 pounds, and I literally had to go to physical therapy to learn how to walk.
Right.
So, there was times where I just didn't want to do it because it hurt,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I was just going to screw it, go on disability, and spend the rest of my life on the couch.
Right.
And I thought, no, there's no way. I go, that's not why God put me here. I know why he put me here. And so I just worked and worked and worked and worked until I get myself back, and, I'm not 100% there, but I can still run around on stage, for the most part. And my voice is still, thank God, as good as it was, or better,
Mm-hmm.
actually, a little bit. It's a little more mature. Talking about my life has always been an easy thing because I'm not embarrassed about anything I've ever done.
Sure.
I have my regrets about some things, hurting people and that kind of thing. But, what I've done to myself, it's all been behind drugs.
Right.
So I have no one to blame myself, and I'm not embarrassed to talk about it,
Sure.
If it helps somebody, all the better,
Exactly.
People have come to me and said, dude, your music, I was going to commit suicide, and then I heard this one song, and it saved my life. And I'm like, wow, that's heavy,
Yep. Sure.
And, people come up and say, oh, yeah, Save Your Love is our wedding song, and I'm just so proud and amazed. It's like, wow, these people had me in probably one of the most monumental days of their lives,
Right.
and I was part of that. And actually the best, most amazing thing somebody said to me, is said, dude, you were the soundtrack of my life.
Right.
And I was like, whoa, how beautifully said, and what that really meant. And I was like, I'm so lucky, so blessed to be able to do what I do, And like I said, I never feel, like writing a song like My Addiction.
Mm-hmm.
Some people say, why, how could you write that, man? That's just like,
Mm-hmm.
well, it's like, hey, I'm a drug addict. This is, what I went through, up
Right.
until about 1.5 years ago, when I came out of a 5-day coma, and the doctor said, if I drink again, I'm going to die. Not might die, but going to die.
Right.
So that was like, that's not even a choice. It's like, okay, stop drinking. But I've had so many mishaps and things like that happen that I'm just got to the point where I just don't care.
Sure.
I don't care what people think.
Right.
I
hear you, man. Let me ask you, man, and I'll bring in a name of a mutual friend that we had, which is Jani Lane. And I had and I'm sure you had these same conversations with him. I had many conversations with Jani about, dude, why don't you just come off the road because you can't handle it, and that I know for you, who, obviously was friends with Jani as well, what do you look at that now, and do you use that almost as some motivation for yourself to not find your demons again? Because it's hard, man. I mean, people don't realize how easy it is for you guys, you musicians that are known, how many guys will come up to you and say, here's a bag of weed, here's some pills, here's some coke, here's some whatever. They don't get how easy it is to fall into that.
Yeah, exactly. I was sober for 8 years, and I went out over a bad divorce, and it was like I was worse than I ever was. I was like, smoking, quarter ounces of coke every day, staying up for 7 days in a row with no sleep, pounding alcohol, taking handfuls of Viagra, screwing porn stars, and it was. I can't say it wasn't fun, but it was. I could have killed myself easily.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And and I eventually got back off of the wagon. I went to Betty Ford, and I was sober for, almost 2 years. And I took a year off. I said the whole band take a year off because I want to just not have that pressure, Mm-hmm. So I went and helped my friend out selling loans just for something to do, and it was awesome. I was making a lot of money, and so it was kind of fun.
Right.
And one day this guy came up to me and goes, "Hey, you want a Norco?" And I'm like, oh, man. I go, all right. And I took it, and then it was on.
Right.
Then I was just a total pillhead. And, I lost my relationship over it, and I lost 3 houses over it because the chick, I had them in her name because, of the lawsuits. Mm-hmm. And she basically stole my mom's life savings, which was my inheritance, and just said, basically, well, this is all the gift. Sorry. Your name's not in the title. Get out of my house.
Wow.
Or my house says,
right.
So
Jeez.
I've gone through some, some hard things, but, I talked to Jani many times, and he was trying to get me sober when he was sober, and then I'd be calling him. And after he died, I remember somebody came up and goes, "You need to go to Jani's MySpace page." Mm-hmm. And I said, "Why?" He goes, "Just go there." So I went, and on the front of his page, there was only 2 pictures. There was one of him and his wife, and one of him and I on stage singing.
Wow.
And it said "The Boys" underneath it, and I just started bawling.
Sure.
I never realized how much the guy would love me. You know what I mean? I love that guy. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. One of the best pictures that I ever, one of my favorite pictures that was ever taken of me was one with him where I pied him after a show with a shaving cream. Right. And then he ended up grabbing the thing and smashed it in my face, and somebody took a shot of us. And it was just hysterical. Right. It's my favorite shot of all pictures taken of me, and I have it and I treasure it.
Sure, definitely, man. Well, dude, something people are going to treasure if they get a hold of it, which they should, is the new album, which is called He Saw It Comin'. It's out tomorrow, actually. And Jack, where can people go online to find out more about the record and where you're going to be out on the road and when and all that good stuff?
Okay, well, you can go to Jack Russell's Great White on Facebook, or you can go to jackrussells.com. And, you go to the Jack Russell's Facebook page. But, usually the Jack Russell's Great White Facebook page is where you're going to find the information. Mostly the other page is tour dates, you know what I mean?
Sure.
And you got to keep checking it because they're always coming in. Like I just got a call from my manager about a show in Detroit in Michigan, and one somewhere near there.
Right.
I forget. But we're filling up the summer. It's starting to really come in right now. So we're going to be everywhere. I love to play and I love to stay out. Me and Lita Ford have been talking about doing a tour together because, we're dear friends, and both the bands are just amazing. And so, there's going to be a lot of shows. We're going to just keep pumping this one,
Excellent, man. Well, Jack, as a tradition on the show, we always let the artist pick a closing track from the new record, maybe tell us a story about it. So what would you like us to wrap this with?
Okay. Well, let's do something completely different.
All right.
This is a song called Godspeed, and it's the most, it's most out of the box song we've ever done. It's completely a cappella. There's no instruments. The drums are my drummer going boom, boom, and it's very 50s doo-wop. But if you listen to all the intricate harmonies and the voices, it's really amazingly orchestrated, and that was done by my guitarist. And I was just blown away when he came up with this. I came up with a song, me and him, and I was going to be a ballad. Right. He goes, "I want to make this an a cappella song." I go, "Okay, try it," and it came out great. So it's a little different, I'll warn you, but it's really a great song. So I hope everybody enjoys it.
All right, well, let's check it out right now. It is Godspeed. It's Jack Russell's Great White right here on your Classic Metal Show.